That's my job, provide that access.
Well, we appreciate you coming along. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, sir.
Thank you. And don't forget to ask about the poodle skirt.
That's right.
The greater Bemidji area that'll guide our development into the future.
Members, county commissioners, they're appointed by their respective bodies.
Honey, or it can be local, you and I creating a business that then we take to a global perspective.
If you have a question, call and ask, we'll help you.
Nobody knows about it, and it's
Well, the
great
word's out now. The word's out now.
Your entire operation, how bring people in. So let's get involved. Economic development is one of the most important tasks we have.
It is. It is.
Great to hear about.
Thanks again.
Thanks,
Thanks, dude. Thanks.
It's been a pleasure, Louis.
Good evening. I'm Lou Crenshaw at 6:30 on Wednesday evening, and thanks to Upstream TV, we're back once again with Inside Bemidji, where we showcase people and organizations working to make our community an even better place. Tonight we're going to be talking about our very own Lake Bemidji State Park, and we're delighted to have Pete Harrison, Park Manager, here with us. Thanks for coming,
Well,
Pete.
thanks for having me, Lou.
So we're going to talk about the Lake Bemidji State Park, but first of all, Pete, let's meet you.
Okay.
Are you originally from Bemidji?
I'm not. I'm actually from the North Shore of Minnesota, from Silver Bay, and lived there for half my life, half of my younger years anyway.
Up in the Arrowhead.
Up in the Arrowhead region, yeah. And then when reserve mining shut down, we moved down to the Twin Cities area. So I got a little taste of small town life and metro area life. So it was, I think it was a good mix of things for a young Minnesotan to experience.
Good. And you went to school up there or down when you moved to the cities, or?
I graduated high school in Hastings, Minnesota, and then went to undergraduate school at UMD in Duluth.
In Duluth?
Yep.
Okay, so you stayed up there kind of
Yeah,
close to Bemidji?
I wanted to go back. I got homesick a little bit, you can say.
All right.
You know.
And how did you get into the state park business?
I'm a late bloomer. Got a late start into the program. I was actually going to be focusing my career towards fish and wildlife management, and worked a lot of research projects after getting my degree, and had a good time with it, but quickly found out that wasn't able to really land a career in that field without a graduate degree, and I was not able to get into graduate school. I just happened to read a story in a periodical somewhere that said there's going to be turnover in the parks and recreation, parks management field in the next 10 years. There's going to be a huge changeover. People, baby boomers retiring and people getting out of the field. So
it looked like a more attractive career path.
It looked like there was going to be some good opportunity. Yeah.
Was that fish and wildlife management more researchy, if you will, and that's why they wanted those kind of?
That's just really a prerequisite to get into that field, at least at a management level, is to have a graduate degree.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So where did you enter into the parks? Where was your first job in the Park Service?
Well, after getting my graduate degree from University of Wisconsin La Crosse in park management,
Okay.
I looked around in Minnesota. They weren't hiring at the time, so just happened to find out through a friend of a friend that they're having an opening down in South Carolina, the state of South Carolina, with state parks. Happened to apply to that job, and lo and behold, after just a phone interview, they wanted to hire me. So
good for you.
Moved
so you've spent most of your life up in Minnesota, and suddenly you're down in
Yeah.
South Carolina. Huh?
I spent some time in Wisconsin,
Learning to
South
eat grits
Dakota,
and all that kind of stuff.
Yep, Iowa.
Actually, I like South Carolina.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and I really implore anybody out there, if they have the opportunity, get out of their comfort zone, get out of their home state and their home area, and experience life. Different culture, a different way of living, different way of thinking, and all that kind of stuff. To try that out for a little bit, because it really does open your eyes to a different world.
We talk about the South, but actually North Carolina to me is fantastic in that it has all of those great parks.
Yep.
Huge state and national parks, and I don't know, the whole area is just really interesting.
Yeah, and like South Carolina, you've got coastline on one end, you've got mountains on the other end,
Right.
and then the in between. So
They
you
call
really
that the
get to
Piedmont. or
yeah, you
something
get to
like
really
that, right?
experience all of that.
Yeah, good. How
Such
long
a
were you
small
down
state.
there?
I was down there for 2 years.
Okay, not long enough to really get your golf game going.
No,
Because they're maniacs for golf.
and we see a lot of the snowbirds coming down, and that's what they do in the wintertime is they come down and they spend
Yeah.
their winters down there golfing and camping and enjoying the more moderate weather than we have up here.
So, South Carolina, did you come directly to Bemidji from there?
No, actually, I was hired on as the assistant manager at Lake Bronson State Park. From
Again,
South-
up here in Minnesota.
Yep.
Were you trying to get back?
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's a Minnesota guy, we can tell.
yeah, I've been trying, and I think the whole objective from the start was to go down there for the short term and experience it and have fun, but then eventually get back to Minnesota.
Yeah, see a different perspective, just like you said.
Right.
Different culture, different way of doing things.
Yep.
And from there, then you came to Bemidji. And how long have you been in Bemidji at our Lake Bemidji State Park?
For 3 years now, just over 3 years.
So you were 3 years, and now 3 years
Yeah,
here.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And I moved from the Lake Bronson area to Bemidji, almost 3 years to the day
There you are.
after starting up there.
Did you move a family?
Yep. Yeah, we actually had our first child in South Carolina. So when we moved down there, it was real easy. It was just the two of us. Didn't take a long time to discuss or think about the ramifications of packing up and moving because it was just the two of us. And then we had our first child down in South Carolina and our second child when we were at Lake Bronson.
Okay. And is your wife from Minnesota?
Yep.
So
Yep.
no problem with the famous Bemidji winter. She's already seen it.
Exactly. Yeah,
Good.
she's from the Twin Cities area. We met at UMD in Duluth, and we've been together ever since.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So there you are, guys. Pete Harrison, park manager, Lake Bemidji State Park, a real Minnesotan, and let's talk about his park a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was on your webpage, so I'm not fully informed, but I see that we've been a state park since 1923.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, how does that work? I mean, back in the 20s, was that a time when they were trying to set up a number of state parks?
Yeah, the park was actually kind of established and founded by some federal programs, WPA, CCC, NYA.
That's interesting. So the feds were involved in sanctioning or getting state parks going.
Well, it was a program to help get during the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression and stuff to get people some jobs.
So the CCC, one of the many things they were doing was establishing state parks, building facilities.
They were building facilities
Gotcha.
and getting people jobs, getting some money in the checkbook, in the wallet.
So that tells me then that we have a lot of really nice state parks in Minnesota.
We do, yeah, and we're blessed because there's so much diversity in Minnesota. There's the prairies to the west, there's the Arrowhead region, there's the hardwood forest to the south and east, and we've got that change. We've got pretty much everything from prairie to conifer to hardwoods and everything in between, so we get to see it all really in just one state.
What would you call Bemidji? We're not hardwood.
We're mixed conifer.
Mixed conifer.
Yeah.
That's because you got the oaks in between the red and white
You got the
pines.
oaks and the birches, you got a lot of the hardwoods in there, and then you
Okay.
also have the conifers.
So a birch is a hardwood.
Yep.
And that's why in the wintertime you can buy mixed oak and birch and burn it in your fireplace.
Yeah, and then they're hardwoods because they're slow growing and they form a lot of wood fiber matter. So
Right.
they're harder to split, but they burn longer.
Yeah. Yeah, because some trees, and I'm trying to, as you said, I don't remember what it was, but some trees, I know this because limbs come down in my yard. They're light as a feather.
Right.
I remember a big limb came down. I was like, oh, good, free firewood. But no, it was just junk. But the oaks and the birch, as you just said, are hard and they make great firewood.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I was interested in that. Anyway, back to the parks. So you have, according to your webpage, 150,000 visitors a year.
Yep.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's we're up there with a lot of the bigger parks, in the maybe top third for visited parks in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our use is day use. The 150,000, like we were talking before, about 19,000 is overnight use.
Yeah, okay.
So the vast majority of that is day use, people coming out to picnic or use the beach, or we have a lot of school groups and day use visitors that come out.
So these would be people from around our region.
Yes and no. They
Who
might be
would
people
day
that
use?
are
I mean,
maybe staying overnight in town, maybe at a hotel
okay.
or something like that.
So they might be not from our region, but they just decide to come to the park.
come
for
to the
day.
park for a day.
They might be in a hotel room a couple of nights, but that's one thing they want to do.
Right, yeah.
Got it.
And we get a lot of people that go in between Lake Bemidji and Itasca. They want to, as long as they're up here in the area, and they want to visit both parks, they want to see what each one has to offer. So we'll get a lot of people from there as well.
So you're, let's just say 20,000 roughly overnight stays. Where are those people from?
We get a lot of our visitation from the Twin Cities metro area, points south like St. Cloud, Brainerd, are in between somewhere in there, and then a lot of people from the Iron Range as well. And actually, we get a lot of folks from North Dakota, Grand Forks and Fargo, those areas, and a fair number of people coming down from Manitoba, Canadians.
Okay, I guess I didn't realize that.
Yep.
So a day's drive.
Right.
So a lot of people come one day's drive, and how often? Not how often. How long would a typical person stay?
Generally, it's going to be.
I mean, if they're staying overnight, not
Yeah.
your day people.
Generally 2 to 3 nights. A lot of our people come in on Friday and leave on Sunday, or maybe make a slightly extended vacation, maybe Friday to Monday or something like that. But generally it's going to be a lot of weekend traffic.
Okay.
We actually don't see a whole lot of overnight use during the week, the weekdays, but we get full or close to full on the weekends.
So 150,000 visitors and roughly 20,000 overnighters. You got a lot going on out there. And how do you deal with that? Like what's your staff? What's your organization like that you deal with 150,000 people?
Well, we've got about 17 people on staff during the peak season, and
which is right now.
Yeah, which is right now. They handle duties anywhere from being that front counter person to interact with people as they enter the park, and they need to buy a permit, or they want to register for camping, or buy some merchandise out of the store. And then we have our maintenance staff that helps. They're kind of the behind the scenes guys that keep things running, and
because you've got a lot of facilities there, right?
Right.
And I'm not talking about just cutting grass, but you've got a lot of things that need to be repaired and maintained.
Exactly.
You've got restrooms and
We got
kitchens.
3 bathroom buildings that handle the campground and day use area, plus another one closer to the beach there. So they get a lot of use with our visitors. So it's just making sure that they're clean and tidy and presentable to the public, and sanitary as well. And just making sure that, because that's a big part of a person's stay, is how clean are the bathroom buildings, and how does that represent the park and the park service as a whole? Because that can mean a lot whether that person wants to come back or not. That's a big part of their experience. So just making sure that everything's working properly and up to snuff and is presentable.
Yeah, I know that from personal experience. When I was a boy, our family would take these 2 or 2.5 week trips. They just loved to be on the road, and we'd go camping. And so we would go to state parks and set up our tents and get out our cooking gear. And so I remember even as a boy that the way you felt about a state park had a lot to do with the restrooms and the showers and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's the interaction that you have with the staff, especially when you first arrive. Making sure that you want to have a nice, polite interaction with staff, and make sure they're courteous and understanding to your needs. And then everything that you see and experience at the park is what you expect. It's about meeting those expectations and hopefully exceeding them as well.
Sure, because the lake and the big trees are going to speak for themselves. but the whole experience involves the interaction with your people too.
Right, yeah, it's the
And the
variables.
facilities.
You know?
So you can't, how many, sorry, you told me, but I forgot. You said you have a staff of,
So about 17, 15 to
17.
17, yeah.
now they must be seasonal in some way.
They
right?
are, yeah. State parks
How does that work?
are very seasonal in use, so
Sure.
a lot of our staff are work part time or you know, close to full time, but not quite, and then on a seasonal basis, just to handle the big demand that we have this time of year.
Yeah.
And then as things taper off and we have less use, those folks are laid off from their position, and then they,
Come back.
if they want to, they come back the next
Come back
year.
next
Continue,
year.
yeah.
Do you use volunteers?
We do, yeah. We have established volunteer events like Green Touch Day, which is
Like
something.
what day?
Green Touch Day or Project
No.
Green Touch.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, Pete. What is it?
That's cooperation that we have with our local Touchstone Energy facilities. We do that a lot throughout the state, and here it's Beltrami Electric Cooperative.
Okay.
And
so you take a day.
yep,
And
we
you
take a
got
day. They help
volunteers.
organize. It's all Beltrami Electric Cooperative customers, and they come out and they help us get the park in shape. We usually do it the first Saturday in May, so it's a good time to help clean up the park, get things spruced up and running,
Okay.
and they get a free lunch out of the deal, and hopefully
And feel good about
they
it.
leave satisfied that they helped us.
I helped
Yeah.
you. Yeah. The only one I've heard of where you do volunteers is the pancake breakfast. What is that?
Yeah, that's actually
Because I've never made it to one.
yeah,
but
that's coordinated through the Friends of Lake Bemidji State Park, which is a nonprofit organization, our friends group for the park, and they organize those on the Sundays of Memorial and Labor Day weekends, and it's a way to serve breakfast to our campers, to our customers at the park. And there is a fee involved, so it helps put some money back into the pocketbook of the Friends group,
Okay.
and then those funds are redirected to the park somehow, because that's the whole purpose of the Friends group, is to
Yeah,
help.
let's talk about them.
help the
Who?
park.
Because I had never heard of them.
Mhm.
I mean, I kind of heard of them, but what do they do for you?
Well, most every state park out there has a Friends group, and it's just a group of local people who are passionate about the park. Maybe they've grown up with the park, they visited it in their youth, and it's just become a part of their life.
It's
a big-
important to them.
yeah, very important to
Yeah.
them, big part of their life.
Uh-huh.
And they just want to do something somehow to help the park get by and help us do things that sometimes we can't do ourselves.
So you could find them on a website probably. If you wanted to be a friend of the park, you could join them.
The Friends group does have a Facebook page.
A Facebook page.
They do
okay.
not have a website,
All right.
but they do
So
have a
Friends
Facebook
of the
page.
Friends of the Lake Bemidji State Park. Look
Yeah.
for their Facebook page if you want to join up with them.
Yeah, we do have material at the park as well too.
Okay, or pick up material at the park. And besides the pancake breakfast, what other kinds of things do they do?
Well, they just helped out on our National Get Outdoors Day, our open house at the park, which we do the first Saturday in June every year, and that's where we offered free admission to the park, so you don't need to have a vehicle permit to get into the park. And we do that just to try to introduce people to state parks, get them out there. Hopefully, they have an experience where they start to value the state park a little bit more. Maybe they want to be more consistent visitors to the park.
Yeah, right.
So the
okay.
Friends group had a station there where they served cookies and lemonade and coffee,
Okay.
and just try to promote the park and themselves a little bit more.
It's a pass is something like $25 a year,
Yeah.
right?
hmm
But once you have that, you can go to any park.
It's good for all
in the
Minnesota
state,
state parks. Yep.
and you can go in and out of Lake Bemidji State Park every day. If you
Every
wanted
day,
to,
and we
right?
have people that do that. Yep.
Really?
Yeah, we
Okay.
do.
I walk through the trail every day, but I don't
Yeah, we have
usually
trail
come
walkers
in.
and dog walkers that come out every day, including wintertime too.
Yeah,
Pretty much
good.
every day they're out there. But the Friends group did help us establish the playground at the park, which was
Okay.
just a few years ago, and it's a modern playground type of set up and with
That'd be a
swing,
great reason to
swing
have a
set as
pass.
well, and we get a lot of
You
people
bring
that
the
come
kids out every weekend,
Yeah.
or midweek you're quiet, you said. Come out midweek and let them play and
Exactly.
swim. And
Yep.
great.
Mm-hmm.
You run a visitors center.
Yep.
I saw this on your webpage. What's it like?
Well, we have the visitor center, which is located. It's a walkout area of the ranger station or office, and it's got a lot of
That's where you drive in, and it's just
where you
there on the
register.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
first building that you see
Yeah,
when you come
yeah,
to the park,
uh-huh.
and it's got a lot of interpretive elements to it. That's where we hold a lot of programs, and the naturalists give a lot of their programs. And
You mentioned school children coming out.
yeah,
Would they like come in there and
a lot of times they do. Yeah,
stop there on their way in?
we're able to show movies in the visitor center there.
Okay.
We have an aquarium with some fish in it. We have our
That shows the kind of fish that is in the lake?
yeah, they're harvested or they're collected from the lake.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So the kids and folks
No
get to
fishing.
see. No, they're just for observation. But we do have other interpretive exhibits as well, like the Beaver Lodge, and provide some information on the lake that people can learn a little bit more about that.
Are there any beaver lodges on Lake Bemidji? I know there's one up. I don't know if it's in the park or not, but where the causeway is, you know, the causeway that goes across the corner there, just east of you guys.
Right, yep.
Anyway,
Yep.
but I don't know of any around Lake Bemidji.
Usually in the park there, we have some on Bass Creek.
Yeah, oh,
Yep.
okay, yeah, back on the creek, that comes out of your bog up there, right?
Well, it originates from Big Bass Lake.
Oh, and it comes
On
the
the eastern
slough
side,
way.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
It goes under New Bass Road, New
Mhm.
Bass Road, and then through Sundew Pond and Osprey Pond, and then dumps into Lake Bemidji.
Yeah. They used to run logs down that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't imagine what that was like.
Yeah, there's actually at one of the bridges on the paid trail that goes up to Paul Bunyan. There's some
That's-
information.
That's
about
where I read that.
the sluice
They
way.
call it a sluice way,
Yeah.
right? I don't know when they did it. I guess they waited until winter
Yep.
or spring, maybe. I don't know. But I just can't imagine what that was all about.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of places in your park, we were talking about the visitor center, but I got distracted. You've got a protected tamarack bog, right?
Yep. Spruce tamarack.
Spruce tamarack bog, and that's the one with the sphagnum moss, and you go out I want to say pier, but that's not the right.
The boardwalk.
The boardwalk.
Boardwalk, yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Mhm.
got a lot of nice exhibits
Yep,
on it as
yep.
well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you said a lot of people live here, and some come out every day, and some have never been there. So
Mhm.
for you that have never been there, I'll
Goes
tell
about-
you, the bog walk's a good and interesting thing.
Yeah, it goes about 1,100 feet out to the terminus, which is on Big Bog Lake.
Mhm.
Yeah, you get to see a lot of things, especially this time of year. Flowers are in bloom. We got the pitcher plants and the lady slippers in bloom right now.
Oh,
This is really prime time. We're actually
wow.
a couple weeks behind normal just because of
The spring,
the late winter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The spring that didn't happen for
Yeah.
a month.
Which is kind of polar opposite of last year, 2012.
Yeah, right.
Where we had 70 degrees in March.
Isn't that incredible? Yeah, it really is amazing one year to the next.
Yeah.
But anyway, the tamarack bog's not everything. I like the big trees myself. You know, I go up and down the trail a lot because I
Mhm.
live out that way. But sometimes I'll come into the park and then back down Lavinia Road.
Mhm.
And you know, when you come through that section, there's some really enormous white pine in there.
Right.
There's a stand right where Lavinia Road dead ends, and you can park your car, and I don't think you can park your car, there's no parking, but anyway, you can nip right in from that way and
Mhm.
see those big white pines. I wonder sometimes how old they are. You know, there's a huge one next to your restrooms as
Yep,
well.
mhm.
It's a monster white pine and a
Yep.
big red pine right in your picnic
Yep.
area there.
Yeah, some of those big ones that unfortunately have come down because of storms or other things like that. We've aged a few of those at 150 to 180 years.
Mm.
I'm sure there's probably some 200-year-old trees in there, or maybe a little bit more.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, down on Rocky Point, you know that little funny trail that kind of runs down and dumps you. A couple of really big red pines down in there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, and we do have that that separate area of the park, which is down off Lake Avenue on the southeast side of Lake Bemidji. We got the Paul Bunyan State Trail on one side and Lake Avenue on the other.
Oh, you're talking way down Lake Avenue.
Yeah,
On
that
like
little
the
sliver of
southeast
land.
corner of the lake?
Yep. Just
So you're
south of
driving
Howard Avenue.
south and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
And we know that that is old growth forest there. Unfortunately, a lot of that got hit by the windstorm last year, but there are still some
Yeah,
big and old trees down in
yeah,
that
that
section.
whole side of the lake got hit.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know that area you're talking about. Are there any trails or ways to walk through that?
Not at the moment. We've been talking about providing some better access down there because there's state park land, and just to the south there's city land.
Okay,
So we're butting up to each other, and we're creating a larger portion of land there than one
is
entity
the
has
city
themselves.
part also park? Or it's just city land?
It's just city land. It's not established park. There's no trails. There's no trailhead or anything like that. But,
Yeah.
that's one thing that we're looking at, is providing some more access to that area.
Well, that seems like a great idea to me. I mean, people drive to the Lost 40.
Right.
All the way over there just to see what an old forest looks like. If we've got one right here, maybe we could put a trail through it, Maybe they'd stay here in Bemidji.
Yeah, and a big advantage to that is just providing some background and some education to people about
Yeah.
these old growth forests and how
Yeah, I mean, I
important
didn't
they
know
are.
that, and I drive by it all the time.
Yeah.
I just know, like you said, it really got whacked by the storm a year ago.
It did, yeah. We had to have a professional crew of fellers and chainsaw
Yeah, I saw them in there a
folks,
lot.
yeah, come and help us mitigate that.
Now,
as much as we
how do you handle that? That's a big, big project. How do you handle that out of your budget?
Actually, it doesn't come out of our budget. We have a lot of help from the region.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, we get a lot of help from the Northwest region as a whole to help us accomplish some of these things, because
Okay.
we can tap into different resources in different divisions to help us accomplish our goals and get things done.
Okay. I left you talking about the visitor center and totally interrupted you, so let's go back in that direction. You run a gift shop as well.
Yeah, we have a nature store at the park, and it's
Oh,
got.
a nature store.
We call it a nature store.
All right.
It's
And
just
is that again in your main building?
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's actually just part of the ranger station there, where people
Uh-huh.
register to camp and stop in when they first arrive at the park.
And what does the gift shop have? If we want to go out and get a Christmas present, what do we?
Oh, well, we've got a lot of Lake Bemidji State Park apparel
All right.
and different merchandise, patches and pins and different things.
the
That,
kind of things campers like to collect.
yeah,
Mhm.
the things that people like to.
Extra sweatshirt. If
Commemorate their
people
visit to
didn't
the
realize
park,
how
yeah.
cold it gets here,
Yeah.
even though it's August.
Yeah, but then we also try to provide some of the basics that a camper might need,
Like,
um,
I see, ice,
like ice, yeah, and firewood, and then
firewood.
say you forgot some batteries, or you need a hot dog stick or something like
Okay,
that.
good.
We have those sorts of things that.
That you've learned over time that people need.
Yeah, and then we have a lot of.
Are those seasonal, by the way? The visitor center, the gift shop? They close
No,
down?
that's
or-
open year round.
They're open year
Yeah,
round?
yeah.
All right.
And we have a lot of knickknacks and stuff that, especially the kids like.
Okay.
We get a lot of kids in there that they've got $2 allowance or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And they're looking at something to buy, whether it be a stuffed animal or a little trinket or something like
Okay.
that. Something cool for themselves.
Yeah,
You know.
good for you guys. We're gonna take a break.
Okay.
Well, thanks for joining us this evening. As you can see, we're talking about our very own Lake Bemidji State Park. And we're here with Pete Harrison, the park manager, who's come along to talk with us about it. We're going to be doing this another half an hour, and we got a lot of things that I'm interested in, and I hope you are too. So stick around. This show is Inside Bemidji. We run this show every Wednesday evening at 6:30. We showcase people and organizations who are working to make our community an even better place. So once again, thanks for joining us, and stick around. Well, Pete, we've been talking about a lot of things. Let's talk about the things you can do out at the park. And we'll start with what goes on in the summer. And I would imagine that swimming and boating are up on the list.
Yeah.
People, you talked about people just coming in for the day or coming in camping, and you got a beach there, right?
Mhm.
Do people bring their own boats? And of course they do, but
Yeah.
you rent boats as well, right?
We do, nothing motorized, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, they can definitely rent one of those. And it is, we do try to be conscious of the conditions on the lake. If it's too rough, we won't, just for safety purposes, we won't rent some of that equipment out. But
So that'd be like a canoe or
especially because we know
a kayak.
a lot of the users aren't as experienced,
Yeah.
so we
okay.
don't want them getting in trouble out in the lake.
Now, if I walk through your park, you got that lagoon there with the boat parking places.
Yep.
And it's usually, well, especially this time of year, got a lot of boats in
Mhm.
it. Now, do people bring those with them if they come to camp? Do they bring boats, or are those from people coming in off the lake, or where do those boats come from?
Mostly our campers.
Campers.
Yep.
So the people will bring one with them.
Yep.
So when they came, they brought a boat because they know they were going to go fishing or have fun on the lake or whatever.
Yeah, that's part of their plan. That's part of
Mhm.
what they want to do. And one big thing that we see a lot more these years is a truck hauling a fifth wheel camper with towing a boat behind it. So it's a three-piece unit.
Sounds like a train.
Uh-huh. And they're just getting longer and longer and longer as
Okay.
as
So
the
you
years
got
go
the truck and then the camper and then the
on.
boat.
And then the boat, yeah.
Okay. Well, and those people, I would imagine, are some of your longer staying visitors, because if you're going to bring a boat, you're pretty serious. You
Yeah,
got a
you want to
plan.
make it worth your while.
Do
yeah.
some people stay for a week or more?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Especially the retirees. And there's a growing population out there who are full-time RVers.
Yes. Okay. So you got RVs coming in, and you have the equipment for them, the hookups and all that sort of thing.
Mhm.
I'm talking about something I don't know anything about. But
We
you
just
must
have
the-
electric hookup, no sewer
Just
or water.
electric.
Yeah,
All right.
but we do have the dump station, so they can flush their system out and dispose of their waste.
All right. So you got a dump station for them.
Yeah,
And you got a ramp down at the lagoon. I call it a lagoon. I don't know what you call it, but anyway,
marina. Yeah,
marina. So you can they can launch their boats right there. And
it's a
pull
public
them out.
access on the Lake Bemidji. Yep.
Okay. So swimming and boating, you rent canoes, kayaks, and fishing boats.
Rowboats. You know.
So you row out far enough to put a line in the water.
Yeah.
Huh? How about hiking and biking? Let's talk about that a little. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm one of your people who use your trails, and I see the bikes. And so do people show up sometimes not with a boat, but with a couple of bicycles on the back of their camper?
Or they bike into the park to camp. We've actually had a couple groups so far this year. They're planning on doing the Mississippi, what's it called? Mississippi,
The Great River Road?
yeah, the Great River Road. Or
Well, that's like 1,500 miles long, I think, isn't it?
it goes to New Orleans. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
They started at Itasca, and they're
Uh-huh.
biking the whole thing down to New Orleans.
Good for them.
And camping along the way, and
Is this some kind of a new phenomenon going
it
on?
could be. We've had some people in the past too that, since we are a trailhead on the Lake Bemidji or the Paul Bunyan State Trail,
Sure.
they'll come in and they'll unload their bikes and they'll take a week-long trip, and they'll go from Bemidji. They'll bike from Bemidji to the Iron Range and the North Shore and to Duluth, and then they'll bike back to Bemidji. Or we've had folks go down to Brainerd and St. Cloud and then back up to Bemidji.
Wow. Now the trail that you hook up to, your park has the Paul Bunyan Trail actually going through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's paved as far south as Brainerd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Brainerd
north
Ranch.
it's not paved.
No.
But the bikes can still take it north up to the
They
Iron
could,
Range?
yeah. I don't know if
Oh,
we
I
have
see.
too many
But the
people
people
that
you're
do.
talking about, they probably just take the roads.
Well, they take some road, but you can get from the Paul Bunyan State Trail to the Masabi Trail to the Gitchigami Trail, which is on the North Shore. You can hook up to different segments of different state trails.
What a great system. No, honestly, what a great system
Yeah.
we have.
And it's not completely continuous, but if you just figure out your route, you can
Yeah.
hopscotch your way around. Yeah.
Now, your webpage said you've got 11 miles of trails for walking right in the park,
Right.
not counting getting out on the Paul Bunyan and being able to go the whole state, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hiking, biking, mountain biking.
Mountain biking. But mainly, and this is a guess, mainly picnicking and camping are most of your visitors? That's a question. I'm trying to figure that out.
I would say most of our visitors, well, the vast majority are going to be day use, so they're out there either up for a swim, out for a hike, going out to the bog walk,
Okay.
maybe taking advantage of some interpretive programming.
So just whatever around the
yeah.
park.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. But if you did want to camp, you've got a lot of different kinds of sites, including cabins. What's that like?
Yeah, we've got the camper cabins. We've actually just hit the 1-year anniversary mark of those being in the park. And it's kind of a glorified hard-sided tent is what it is. It's just one room. You've got your beds and your eating area all in the same room.
Okay.
Then it's got a screened-in porch as well.
That sounds pretty plush compared to when I was a Boy Scout back in the dark ages.
But it makes it easier for folks. You don't have to haul a camper behind you. You don't have to haul tent equipment or
Right.
anything like that with you.
And remember how to put it up.
Yeah,
You
you
haven't
show
seen it
up,
for 2
everything's
years.
already set up for you. You just throw your bags inside and make a go of it.
Okay.
You know,
How many of those do you have?
we have 4.
4 cabins. Mm-hmm.
And this time of year, pretty much from Memorial through Labor Day, they're booked solid. There's going to be some gaps for a night or two here and there, but
How do you book one?
just make a reservation just like a normal campsite.
Get on your webpage or come see and make a reservation?
Just, yeah, either through the call center or online. Make the
Mhm.
reservations that way. You can book out up to a year in advance.
You said just like a campsite. So the campsites are under the same system? You
Yep.
reserve a campsite?
You know,
Does anybody come back often enough, like a retiree every year, to tell you what number he wants or anything like that?
oh yeah, we have people that know
Yeah.
our campground very well. They have their favorite sites,
Mm-hmm.
and they like the site.
Love
They
it.
want to come back and use it.
So when they make their reservation online or on the telephone, they'll ask you for good old number 37 or whatever it is?
Well, all of our reservations are handled through an outside company.
Mhm.
They take all of our reservations, so we don't do that at the park. But we just started with a new company that does this for us, and they're based in Minnesota here. So the call center and all the attendants on the phone there are from Minnesota, so they know us well.
All right. And they do many Minnesota parks, I would imagine.
All the state
to
parks,
leverage having a company.
Yeah.
Okay, so they do all the state parks.
And I think the company that does it for us also does, I think Dakota County Parks as well. And they've got, they work for, or they have contracts with a lot of different entities out there nationwide.
But you can drive up to your front door there, the ranger station and the office and make a reservation right here, yes?
We do hold 30% of our sites as first come, first served sites. They're non-reservable, so.
Oh, so you can just show up and if one's there, you got it, right?
If one's available, yeah. It all depends on the
Now,
time of the
it's-
year and.
I was just gonna ask that, it's 4th of July.
Yeah.
Or just about.
Yeah.
So, are you like capacity during this kind of period?
We are, yeah. Actually, I worked today,
You're
and
booked out.
and by the time I left, pretty much everything was booked up for tonight, and then mostly through the weekend as well.
Too late to come out and camp, make a reservation online, drive out,
Yeah.
but you can make one on a telephone number as well,
Yep.
right?
Toll free. Yep.
Toll free. Let's change around then and let's talk about the winter. Now, your staff's down, but you said your visitor center is still open.
Right.
Right?
It's we use that as a warming shelter for skiers and snowmobilers.
Okay, so you're open for skiing and snowmobiling.
Mm-hmm.
So you're grooming your trails?
We are. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, we're
so-
out there grooming our trails. We do that in-house with state park staff. And we're also applying access through the park, through the roads, parking
yeah,
lots.
of course, you got to plow to be able to get in.
And up to the
Yeah.
camper cabins, because they're year-round. They're heated during the winter.
Really? What
Yeah.
kind of heat do they have there?
Electric baseboard heat. But we know when people are coming in, we go in there the morning of, turn the heat up a little bit, and by the time they arrive, they're nice and toasty warm.
So you can have a cabin out there in the woods in the snow. That
Mhm.
sounds great. And if you want to ski, off you go.
Right. And we have the ski trails that go right through that area, so you pretty much just have to walk out the front door and you can hop on a ski trail or the snowmobile trail.
Mm-hmm. Your snowmobile trail,
Mhm.
is that what I think of as that paved one that goes out to Paul Bunyan?
No, it actually comes from the north side of the park, across Sumac Road, and pretty much bisects the park and then provides access onto the lake.
Okay.
So we have a lot of people either
So
going onto the lake or coming off the lake and then jumping on another snowmobile trail.
can you snowmobile on the lake in the winter?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
People drive on the lake.
Well, I know that, but
There's
that,
permanent houses out
but
on the
don't
lake.
they like have to, smooth it down or something? No,
No.
you just go.
Yeah. You
That
just
sounds like a hoot.
Yeah. It's.
Alright.
I mean, you definitely have to be conscious of where you're at and your surroundings and everything. And what looks like smooth snow out there isn't. There's a lot of roads and drifts and hard spots and
Yeah,
soft spots.
that's what I was thinking of. I'll probably read an article about that rather than try it. So you got groomed trails in the winter. You got a heated shelter.
Mm-hmm.
You got cabins available for snowmobiling and cross-country skiing.
Yep. Or just staying the night if you're just in town.
Okay. Just get a
We
cabin
don't.
in
We
the
don't ask
woods.
why you're there. We'll let you in no matter what you're doing.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good. But you're open in the winter for that kind of activity.
365 days a year, the park is open. Yep.
I never thought of people rolling down onto the lake at a snowmobile. That's great.
Yep.
Programs. Let's talk about programs a little bit. You do what you call naturalist programs,
Mhm.
right? So, what are they like?
It varies with the season. We try to gear our programs according to kind of what's happening that time of the year
Mhm.
or what people might be looking for.
Do they go year round?
They do, yep.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
So in the wintertime we have ice fishing programs, we have snowmobile programs, we'll do some winter camping programs. John does a winter bird survey. John Philpa is our naturalist out at the park. He's been there for about 30 years, so he knows it better than anybody.
Okay.
And
Does he do them mainly there at the visitor center, or does he take them out on the boardwalk?
again, it just depends on the topic and
Uh-huh.
and kind of what we want to do with the programming. In the spring when we do our maple syrup harvest and gear some programs around that, we'll be out kind of on the Rocky Point Trail or just in from there where we have our taps set up. This time of year we have our Bog Watcher Sunday, so we'll have naturalists out on the bog walk.
You said all the flowers are out there, in case you missed that. Right?
Yeah.
The lady slippers.
Lady
and-
slippers and the pitcher plants are in bloom right now, plus a myriad of other plants. We've had some dragon's mouth and other plants blooming right now.
Good
Blue flag-
time. to
Blue flag
visit them.
iris and just a different assortment. And we've got stations set out there, so it's got a little label next to the plant. So if you see something out there you're not really sure what it is, they're there to help identify those plants.
How do you track the information on the naturalist programs to know when the next one's going to be and what the topic is? Is that possible?
Sure, yeah, we have a lot of our programs available on our website.
Okay.
It actually shows out the next 90 days of programming at the park, so if you want to plan ahead a little bit. There's also an online calendar on the DNR website, so you can actually look several months ahead to see what's coming up at Lake Bemidji or other state parks.
Okay.
And then we also get that information out to local media, newspaper and radio stations and things to try to if anybody from in town is interested to attend some of those programs, let them know about that.
Do you pay extra to come to one of those?
No, usually the programs are for free, unless there's a charge for one thing or another. But really, the only thing you need to worry about is the entrance fee into the park and having a valid vehicle permit on
Right.
on your car or truck.
And if you miss that, the bargain is $25 for your vehicle, which means you can load up the kids and you can come in every day. And not only that, you can go to every state park in the state of Minnesota with that same sticker. Right?
Yep, and the pass, the permit is good for the car. So it's not dependent on how many people you fit in there. It's one car. You can fit as many people as you possibly can in that vehicle to get in.
And then you get on the web page and you see what the next naturalist program might be, come out and learn something about nature and your neighborhood, and it doesn't cost any more than the original $25.
Right, yep.
And the reason that's a bargain is because Pete's going to charge you $5 if you just come in once.
Yeah, you might as well make it worth it and buy the annual pass for $25 because
And just come in every weekend or whenever.
And you can go any state park across the state with that.
So you were talking about some of the different kind of naturalist programs. Come back and do some of that again. Just name 2 or 3. You were talking about, you got winter programs, different kind, like right now you've got stations out in the bog. And
Right. Yeah, and then we have our International Bog Day, which is coming up at the end of the month here. So that's a way that we celebrate bogs and help shed more light on that for folks who don't know so much about what a bog is and why they're important and what kind of special things you can find in bogs.
Yeah, I love your exhibit of the moss that keeps the water temperature just the way it likes it. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing how that temperature holds steady no matter what.
Yeah.
If it's summer or winter.
And it's the moss doing it, right?
Yep.
Pretty amazing. The maple syrup one, I'd never heard of that one. Tell me some more about that one. That's in the spring, of course.
That's in the spring, yeah. When
so
the
you
sap
did
is
that
running.
back in what? Of course, it was late this year.
It was late this year. Usually it's late March, early April, into mid-April, but this year it was late April this year.
There's still snow on the ground.
Yeah. And we didn't harvest as much as we usually do because of the conditions. But we show people how to harvest the sap and what to do with it to process it to get to maple syrup. And then usually we hold some of that syrup over for our pancake breakfast with our friends group and give people a little taste of real,
It's fun.
down-to-earth, homemade maple syrup.
We've been talking about naturalist programs. You do some safety and training as well, right?
That's usually not, as a division of Parks and Trails, usually we don't do as much with that. That's usually enforcement or some of the other divisions.
But they come to the park to do that? No?
We haven't really had any public safety and training things at Lake Bemidji State Park.
Okay.
But
I thought they did those in the park.
But
Okay.
they'll be in the Bemidji area or somewhere nearby. You know, we help out with the firearms training for the youth and snowmobile and ATV training, and we try to do that. They try to do that as best they can on a statewide basis and hold those trainings. In
Now, who's
specific
doing that? Is
locations.
that the DNR?
Yeah,
Okay. Now, the parks are under the DNR.
right.
So that's why you said we do it, because that's who we are.
Right.
Okay.
The DNR is the umbrella organization, and we're a division of that.
And we have the regional headquarters right here,
Mm-hmm.
right next to the park.
Yeah, it's actually on state park land.
Oh, that's part of the park?
Yep.
Okay. So it's on the other side of the road, but that's part of the state park.
It's on state park land, and that houses all divisions of the DNR there.
Okay, and one of those divisions is doing these, what I call safety and training.
And all that information is found on the DNR website. What type of training is offered and the locations, times, any fees that may be involved,
Okay.
any prerequisite training that a person would need to make sure they complete before they attend that training session.
All right. I want to go back, Pete, and talk about volunteers. You had the Friends of the Park, right? And what other kind of volunteers help you guys out? Because, like you said, 150,000 visitors, a lot going on, a lot of programs. Do you have any other volunteer programs?
Yeah, we have people that call in from time to time, and they're looking to complete some volunteer time or do something special. So they call and ask us if there's anything that we need. They tell us how many people that are going to show up approximately and how much time they're looking at. And we've always got things that are needed to be done in the park, so we're very happy to get their help to do those.
For example, I mean, is this like a guy trying to get a Boy Scout Eagle merit badge?
Sure, yeah, we'll
That'd
have
be an
Boy Scouts or
example.
Girl Scout groups come in there.
Because they need to volunteer and do a project, right?
They need to accomplish so many hours of community service or things like that, yeah.
Mhm.
Helps them accomplish their goals.
What else? What other kind of things? You mentioned the cleanup in the spring.
Yep.
Now, do you go out to announce that through the newspapers? And
That's usually administered by Beltrami Electric Cooperative.
oh, that's right.
Yep.
They organize that.
They do, yep.
Is it mainly their employees, or can anybody show up? Do people know about
It's
it?
mainly their customers.
Well, that's all of us.
Yeah, in a way, but some of us use Otter Tail or different electric providers. So,
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So they organize that. They bring out. So they handle all of that.
Pretty much, yeah. They just tell us
So in a sense, they're volunteers, but they're kind of an organized.
an organized
Right,
effort.
already.
Yeah, and then they just say, make sure that we've got enough things to do for X amount of people over the course of the morning, and we're very happy to oblige them in that way.
Good. Well, I'm glad people are stepping up to that.
Yeah, and we got a lot of people, a lot of repeats, a lot of people that do that year after year,
Uh-huh.
and they look forward to that.
Good. How about the schools? The school system, how do you interact with them? You mentioned earlier school children coming out in groups.
Yep.
Yeah, tell us about some of that.
Yeah, John works a lot with the school groups, the different schools in the area here, and even outside the area, out to Red Lake and Cass Lake and Leech Lake, and just outside our boundaries a little bit. And they're looking for a field trip for the kids to come out and do something at the park and learn a little bit more about nature and kind of the way nature works and things like that.
So they would do a field trip, but it sounds like they kind of tie it in with your naturalist program.
Yep.
So the centerpiece of it, they come and hear something in the way of a naturalist program.
Right. Yeah. But if people
Do
have
they get to swim and do anything else while they're there?
Yeah, usually they're there for the better part of a day, so they'll
Okay.
have free time, play time as well.
Bring a picnic, lunch?
Oh yeah, yep,
Great.
Mhm.
Sounds like a great outing.
yep.
How
And we
far?
tailor a lot of our programming based on a request, a special request or something like that. So if somebody
Tell us,
says,
how does that work?
well, if somebody says, we want to learn more about the bog, then we'll tailor our
Ah,
program
gotcha.
towards that. If somebody
Okay.
says we want to learn about beavers or loons or a different species of wildlife, or the Lake Bemidji, and everything that goes along with that ecosystem. John's we have a 29-foot pontoon boat there at the park that we are able to bring people out to the lake and maybe take samples or just learn a little bit more about how Lake Bemidji works.
Yeah, great. And you talked about the beavers. Well, actually, I think I read among your naturalist programs, one thing you talk about is the diverse wildlife that's in the park, right?
Right.
Got any bears up there?
We do, yeah.
Really?
We've had some bear sightings this year.
This year?
Yeah. Mostly
Whereabouts?
in the northern part of the park.
Uh-huh.
Generally they don't come down into the use areas because they want to stay as far away from people as
And you don't
possible.
want them down there
And we
either,
don't want 'em
because
down
once they learn about garbage cans, they become a pest, right?
Right.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No.
Now, what kind of bears are these?
Black bears.
Black bears.
Mhm.
How big is a black bear? See, I use your trail a lot, or not through your park.
Yeah.
Need some information on what I might encounter.
Generally, a black bear is going to be 100 to 120, maybe 150 pounds, but they can get upwards of 300 and even 400 pounds. The the big ones.
I don't want to meet a big one. Is this new? Is this changing? I mean, are they coming back, or has this always been that way?
It's just one of those things that happens periodically. It,
Mhm.
you know, in some respects it's cyclical, in some respects it's just how things work.
That way it
Yeah.
works. Now, I remember about 2 years ago, if my memory's, and it's not, is still any good, one of your cameras picked up a wolf or two up in the park.
We've had a wolf pack come through the park, yeah.
Okay, how many's in a wolf pack?
It's going to vary anywhere from a couple, 3 to I think they've documented as many as 16 or
Oh my goodness.
maybe even more than that.
So they come through mainly any time of the year, or in the fall, or?
Generally it's going to be fall, winter.
But this is unusual, right?
Well, I don't think it's happened all that often, but you know, we're not that far removed from farther north, or you know, places where they're generally found.
Yeah, I just was just interested in how it's changing and evolving, you know, with so much building and encroachment into
Right.
those areas.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that they're still around. But
And
no
most-
moose, right?
No, we haven't had a moose in the park,
And
at
that's
least
a
not to my
sad
knowledge.
thing. Very quickly, because we're running out of time, Pete, answering all the things I'm interested in. Just a minute or two, but what's the future look like? What are your programs and objectives? Anything you want to share with us that you'd like to see changed, improved, done, things you're working on?
Yep. Well, we're very fortunate to, you know, being right in the Bemidji area and being a fairly heavily used park, that we are able to do some things with the addition of the camper cabins last year, continuation of our naturalist programs, and actually increasing in that with the 2 interns that we get on an annual basis to help.
Where are they from?
Usually they're with an accredited college or university, but we also have some people out there that maybe just graduated from college and they just need a summer job or something like that.
Sounds
But-
like a good program.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that helps us supplement our normal programming and actually be able to provide some more programs and reach out to people a little bit more.
Good.
Yeah. We're also looking at possibly adding another group camp to the park, and this would be not your basic group camp, but actually provide some more amenities like electric service and water, and have a shelter building, and maybe some bathrooms and stuff as well.
So a big family or a camping group or whatever could come in and
Right,
occupy
if-
it for a while?
Instead of, say, you have a lot of people coming for the weekend from a family or extended family, instead of getting individual campsites, each one of those folks, they can just go to one centralized area, all stay together in the same area. It's removed from the rest of the campground, so it's kind of their own private
Yeah.
mini campground, so to speak,
Yeah.
and then just enjoy the weekend themselves.
Yeah, I can see that'd be nice.
Yep.
Sure.
One thing that we know is going to happen this fall is the county got approved to redo our entrance road.
Okay.
They've received some funding through the state park road account, and sometime after Labor Day we'll be completely removing the old entrance road and starting from new, widening it a little bit and get a new.
You'll be able to stay open though.
Yeah, we'll stay open. We'll just work around that, but it'll be a slightly wider road and provide smoother and more convenient access into the park.
Good. Good. We're running out of time, so I'm gonna have to wind us down, Pete. Hey, thanks for joining us. I'm Lou Crenshaw. This is Inside Bemidji. Thanks to Upstream TV. We do this every Wednesday evening at 6:30, and we try to showcase people and organizations who are working to make our community an even better place, and we certainly have had that conversation tonight with Pete Harrison, our park manager here at Lake Bemidji State Park. And if you stuck with us, you've heard an awful lot about what's going on out there, and there's way more on the website. I've become a mini expert just getting ready for this conversation. There's a lot more going on than I ever imagined, from winter and summer activities and all of the naturalist programs, and they're on the website. So get your $25 pass and you can come out every day and
And friend
enjoy
us
the
on Facebook
programs.
too. We have a Facebook page.
There you go.
Yep.
Facebook page.
Another good
as
way to
well.
find out information at the park.
So thanks for joining us. And before we sign off, though, Pete, last word.
Well, I just would like to put out a friendly invitation to anybody out there who wants to come out to the park. If you've never been there before, or if you're an avid user, keep it up. Support us any way you can, and we definitely appreciate feedback. If you have anything that you want to let us know about the park, either good or bad, definitely want to hear that from you. So just keep it up.
Come to the park. Pete Harrison, park manager. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Lou. Appreciate it.
That was good. Thanks and good night.